Hello, I'm Rico Cavella, and this is your Ageless Body Self-Care Guide, your operations manual for your body and for your mind. And the title of today's session is, we're talking about essential oils, and this one's going to be geared towards using essential oils for mental and emotional health, which I think most people are aware these days is really needed, as we got so many things going on these days, both locally and in the world. So we need some help staying calm and focused mentally and emotionally. So I think this is going to be really helpful. And we have a great expert and teacher. Her name is Dr. Eve Rosno. She is a wife, a mom of 4, and she's a licensed psychologist from Nebraska. And she has been using and sharing essential oils for her family's health and wellness and household needs for over 15 years. She also offers free consultations on how to use essential oils for every member of your family, children, and pets included. So, Dr. Eve Roscoe, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming and sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us. So, let's get right into it. I think that always a good place to start is really for some people who are not really familiar with essential oils. So give us a definition of what essential oils are, and why are they called essential?
Yeah. So basically, essential oils are highly concentrated, volatile, aromatic compounds. So that just means things you smell that comes from plants. And depending on what the oil is, it comes from different parts of the plant. So some oils may come from the petal of a flower, like a rose. When you smell a rose, you're smelling oils from the petal of the flower. They may come from the leaf, like a peppermint leaf. We've all held a peppermint leaf in our hand and smelled that aroma. Those are essential oils. Or some come from the bark of a tree, perhaps, like cinnamon, or the root of a plant, like something like ginger or vetiver. So depending on what the plant is, the oil comes from different places. And those oils, the reason they're called essential is, well, a few reasons. One, they are the essence. So the aroma or the essence of the plant, that's why they're called essential oils. So the essence of the plant. And they all have a purpose for the plant, just like they can benefit us. There's a reason why they have them in the plant. So for example, like maybe they repel predators from the plant, or maybe they attract pollinators to the plant to help it carry on, or maybe it helps repair a wound in the plant. Maybe a leaf gets broken or cracked and the oils can help repair. So in similar ways, they can benefit the systems in our body as well to help us be supported and balanced and working the way we're supposed to work as well.
Yeah, well, that's a good explanation of why we can see why they are essential.
Yeah.
All this time I've used essential oils and I've known about them and used them, but I don't think I ever really thought about that or heard anybody say really why they're essential. So that I think that's really helpful. So how about talk just a little bit about the history of oil? I know they've been in use for thousands of years, and I know like the Egyptians, I think they thought of and favored oils higher than gold and things, right?
Yes, right. Yes, as long as there's been plants, I think people have been benefiting from their use. And they maybe always didn't distill the oils the way we do now to use them, but it was the oils that were benefiting them in many ways that they were using them. And we can find them, like you said, all the way back through, 3000 BC. There's history telling us that they use these oils for medicinal purposes, or even in ceremonies for meditation or burials, things like that. There's records of plants being used all the way back. And then the Greeks actually really worked to improve the extraction methods so that then oils, the way we have come to know them, have been used distilled, from the plant. So yeah, there's a very rich history. And of course, we're all familiar with the biblical history of oils. Now they may not, like I said, they may not have been used in the form that we use them, but we can see the value that was placed on many oils such as spikenard or frankincense, of course, and myrrh. And so there is a very rich history that I think got lost for a while. People kind of forgot that this was commonplace, a way to care for ourselves.
Well, yeah, that's what the gifts that the three wise men were brought for Jesus, right?
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah. So they were highly valued as well. Yeah.
definitely.
So yeah, so I guess you're right. I guess we kind of lost that, and just fairly recent history they've become a lot more popular now. So when did you and how did you begin to use oils, both for your family and your practice as well?
Yeah, so I had heard about them before, and to be honest, I came from a pretty traditional training program for psychology, for my PhD, pretty traditional, scientific research based, and things like essential oils were kind of scoffed at a little bit, like, oh, that's nice, you know. And if anything, I assumed that if these help, it's really just a placebo. It's because you think they're going to help you, or you like the smell, and so you feel better because you like the smell. I just kind of, they're there. But then I started actually learning more about them, and really it wasn't for the mental health benefits that I got kind of turned on to them. I really, when you start having kids, you think about everything you do in a little bit different way, you know, all the medicines, all the food, all the things you clean with, you start thinking about everything and how it affects these little people. And so I started learning more and more about how many toxins there really are in our environment. And when it comes to our healthcare, how many of the things we use for medicine are really not so good for our bodies, perhaps. Sometimes we have to take the lesser of two evils, but if there's a more natural option that's not going to be so hard on our bodies, and especially these little kids, these little babies and children's bodies, then I wanted to learn about them. And so that's really how I got to learn about them. And when from the first class that I really attended, I knew there was something here, and I knew I wanted to give this a try. And so that's when I kind of bought my first essential oil toolbox, if you will, and decided, hey, I'm gonna try this first. So when something comes up with one of my kids, I'm gonna look in my resource book and I'm gonna try an essential oil option instead of what I might have done anyway. And the rest is really history. I mean, we have been using these with our family for over 6 years. And, you know, since we've been using them, I have 4 kids that are age 5, 7, 9, and 11. And we haven't had a single antibiotic in our house. Now,
So nice.
I just really feel like they help their bodies work the way they're intended to work. So when little things arise, you can support your body to heal itself. You know, our bodies are designed to take care of themselves and to manage things as they come. And so if you give it the right tools and you have the right resource book, you don't have to be a genius about this. I still look in my books all the time. You look in your book and you try what it says. And it's worked really well for us. And we've been able to eliminate a lot of the toxic, like cleaners and those kind of things from our home too. And so their systems are just not being pummeled by as much as maybe they might have been otherwise.
Well, I'm sure there's some clinical studies nowadays that show. I guess what we just say originally, people just learned trial and error. You know, like maybe put some lavender on a cut or something and it healed up or something like that. They go, well, so then they just began to experiment and develop these. But I'm sure there's clinical trials now that prove the efficacy of essential oils, right?
There definitely is. There are thousands of studies that have broken down, even down to the chemical constituent of a certain oil to say why that oil works and how that works within the body. And so things that people have known anecdotally for hundreds and thousands of years, now science is starting to catch up. Although I think there is a little bit of bias in terms of letting that get out there. I think it is not very popular sometimes. If you can find a way to support your body naturally, there's a lot of forces trying to keep that information from becoming mainstream. It doesn't make for customers for our pharmaceutical companies very well.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the messages of this whole project is to inform people that there's so many different options and natural ways to care for yourself.
Yes.
And many of the mainstream medical practices are downright not only not effective, but they're downright dangerous. So that's a message that we need to get out there stronger as well. There's no question. And unfortunately, our mainstream corporations in all aspects it's all about the bottom line, about the money. It's not about really if it's good for your health or not, you know. So that's why this is one of the main messages that we want to get out with this project as well. So before we get into, I really want to get into the mental emotional aspect, because I think that's something that's really important that people can use these oils for. But just tell us some of the basic common things that you found that you use with yourself and your children.
Yes. Well, a very relevant one these days is really supporting our immune systems. Mm-hmm. And so that when we do come in contact with those things that are trying to knock us down, our body has the tools and is strong and is able to just knock that out. And so, you know, anytime we start feeling down in any way, you know, we can look at which systems are needing support. You know, do I have congestion? Do I have a headache? Do I have, you know, what part of my body is not working the way it needs to work? What oils support that part of the body? And how can we get back on track? And it's amazing how quickly, when you start to recognize what symptoms you're having and what that might be tied to, what system in your body might need some support, you find those right tools for you and how quickly your body can get back on track. And so that is probably the most prominent way that oils are used, is just to really support the immune system when something's trying to take it down, or to prepare so that you don't even notice when you come in contact with things. You know, we come in contact with things everywhere we go. Every time we take a breath, it's natural for our body to be constantly battling against things in our environment. And so to strengthen it, sort of give it that armor so that it's prepared to fend those things off when they come, is a really popular use right now.
And I think essential oils can be used. They can be used topically, and they can also be orally as well. You have to know what you're doing, but yeah, they have so many different benefits. And you know, just like the most common one, like lavender, has so many benefits for your skin, and then like I have a diffuser, and just a diffuser. I can't say it right.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and it's just so so calming and so many things. Well, okay, so let's get into when did you first? How did you discover what oils that can really support people's mental emotional health?
Yeah, so I was a psychologist first, just mainstream typical psychologist. And then I became a mom, and then I became interested in essential oils, mainly for our physical well-being. But as you might imagine, I started wondering, you know, like, how do these things work, and how might they interplay with my work here as a psychologist and mental health in general? And so, like I said in the beginning, at first I thought that it was really kind of a placebo type thing, you know, but I started researching and I started learning, and there's a few ways that I think they work really, really well for mental health. And one of them is one that people maybe hadn't thought of. You know, you've heard of classical conditioning. So Pavlov and the dog, right? Mm-hmm. You train it so that when you ring the bell, they salivate because they're ready for the food to come. You train that bell to be associated with food. So bell, food, bell, food. Then you just do the bell and their body responds as if they're going to get that food. Well, we can work in similar ways with essential oils instead of the bell. So you could have a smell that you really enjoy. Like I have some tangerine right here. It's a very uplifting, bright smell. So when I am working on something in terms of my mental health, let's say I'm doing maybe some prayer or some meditation or some affirmations. If I pair this scent, that's a very pleasurable scent to me, with that work, well, then later, all I have to do is smell that smell, and it brings me back to that state of calm, that state of positive. Maybe it's a state of gratitude. Maybe it's when I'm practicing my gratitude. So you can pair a scent with the positive mindset and well-being so that then wherever you are, if you start to get stuck in a negative loop, or you start to struggle, or you start to feel unpleasant feelings, all I have to do is smell that, and it brings me right back to that good place. And so that, on a very surface level, is a pairing that you can do. And so it works very, very well with children who maybe don't have the higher level of thinking, but you can work to pair that, and they don't have to have the full thing. They just have to have that smell, and it brings them back to that good spot. And so I think that's a really fun way. And that has great, you can do great work with trauma, whenever you're working through some traumas and you're doing that hard, heavy lifting. If someone goes to a therapist, even if their therapist doesn't use essential oils, they can bring their own and say, I'm gonna smell this while we're doing our work, because I really want to carry this work with me when I leave. So that's a really wonderful way to use
That's
oils.
so good. I really haven't heard that before. That's so good. That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one way.
I really like that. Yeah.
But then on a more physiological level, the oils really do change the way your body responds to stimuli. So when our sense of smell is the most powerful sense connected with memory and emotion, our olfactory nerve, those little molecules trigger a cascade. Our olfactory nerve goes right back to the most primal part of our brain called the limbic system. And that is where we process all of our emotion, our fear, our fight, our flight, all of that stuff happens. Our survival really comes from that limbic system. And so there are certain oils that have certain chemical constituents that have differing effects on your brain. And so, for example, when we think about our central nervous system, our sympathetic nervous system, I think of it like a cannon. It's when you're alert, your alarm goes off. And then I think about the parasympathetic nervous system, like a parachute. It's bringing us back down. Well, some oils have chemical constituents that can trigger the parasympathetic nervous system to be activated. And so again, you can combine this with other methods, like maybe deep breathing, that also works to trigger the parasympathetic nervous system. So when you're in a state of anxiety or stress, you can grab that oil, and how easy is that? You don't have to even use this part of your brain, the frontal lobe, because sometimes when we're in a state of stress or crisis, that's not working very good. And so we can't talk ourselves out of our irrational beliefs, but we can trigger that parasympathetic nervous system to calm down just with a smell. You don't even have to take a drop. You can just breathe it in from the bottle, and your body gets to work at settling down and calming. And so that's a pretty exciting thing, I think, about essential oils, that they truly do impact the neurochemical makeup of your brain. And so, and they've come to find out too that some of the chemical constituents work on different neurotransmitters. And so, you know, everybody has heard of serotonin, dopamine, GABA. These are all neurochemicals in our brain that are very closely connected to our mental health and wellness, our mood, our well-being. And so there are oils that have been shown to impact different neurotransmitters. So like serotonin, we all know about serotonin. If you don't have enough serotonin, that leads to feeling down, feeling sad, maybe having trouble sleeping, maybe having obsessive thoughts or behaviors. And so how exciting is it that you can have essential oils that have been shown, oils like clary sage, like citrus oils. And here's the beauty of it, really, because some people are probably like, well, I don't really know which neurotransmitter I need to work on. I just know I don't feel good. Well, the beauty of that is there are some that overlap over almost all of the neurotransmitters. And so they're very balancing, supporting oils, things like lavender, citrus oils, you know, peppermint, rose. So in general, citrus, I say, are your go-to oils when you don't know what to use for mental health and wellness. Because first of all, who does not just love the smell of an orange or a tangerine or a lemon or something like that. And so almost
lavender,
everybody
yeah.
really feels boosted when they smell those smells. And so those oils have been shown to work in your body to increase the availability of serotonin. How cool is that, right? Like a lot of people go to a doctor and come home with a prescription to do that. And not that I'm telling anybody to trade,
Right.
you know, but that's something you could consult with a doctor who knows well and say, hey, I wonder if maybe there's something natural that could work in the same way. And so those are some fun ways that I think, and so powerful and so empowering, right? Like I think especially for children, because they're very safe. There's no danger in smelling an oil. Like there is no danger that can come from that. And so for a child to learn that when I feel down, when I feel worried, when I feel afraid, I can do something about that. I don't have to outsource that to some expert somewhere. I can be the expert for my body, for my mental health and wellness. And I can find the tools that work for me.
Yeah, that's so well said. Thank you so much. I always take this opportunity when I get this opportunity to say that, you know, our system is turned around, and what we call alternative medicine, that's really mainstream stuff. That's something that's natural, it's safe, and those should be the first thing that we go to. And you know, drugs and surgery and all these things that's an alternative. Sometimes there can be life-saving and they're needed, but that should be alternative medicine, and mainstream medicine is what we're talking about here. This should be the first thing to go to. So that's a message that more people need to understand as well.
Yes, and I think people forget that they have an intuition, that really we know our body better than anyone else. And children are very intuitive about this. And so we need to listen. And if something, you know, give yourself 3 or 4 oils and just smell. And I bet one will resonate with you. And I bet there's a reason why, you know, we can learn to be in tune so that we can really tune into what we need. And we need to listen to that and not dismiss those intuitive urges.
That's exactly what I was thinking. You know, the body knows, our body knows, and it's always given us messages and signals, but we're not paying attention, right? So yeah. I think that's very true. If you had several oils in front of you and one of them, this one really, I really like this one. It's not only just because it's a pleasurable smell, but your body's telling you, maybe this is what you need. This is going to be good for you, right? So that's so fun and so interesting. Yeah.
And the neat thing too is that they're so versatile. Like you alluded to lavender being good for so many different things, which it is. It can help with pain. It can help with stress. It can help your skin. If you get a burn, like you grab that pan, it's amazing for that. And so the neat thing is that even if you grab the wrong one, like this is not the ideal oil for what your concern is right now, your body's going to benefit from it. Your body's going to benefit in some way from what you're taking in. And so I love that they're so versatile, and that you really, you know, you very rarely can go wrong in terms of doing something that's going to benefit your body.
Also, I think it's important again to remind our viewers, listeners, that, you know, when you get oils from someone like yourself, an expert in it, you're also going to get probably like a little manual so you don't have to try and figure it out yourself, right?
Yes.
It's going to go down and show if this is your symptom or this is what you're dealing with, here's some oils that we know will probably be beneficial. So it's so easy to use. And we'll talk just one more little bit of thing. I know there's, so some you can ingest, and then some, you know, we actually rub on, you know, there's a thing like the ring drop therapy where you put a bunch of different oils down your spine. So how does that work? How's that different than smelling or ingesting or rubbing on?
Yes. So there's 3 ways to use oils. And I'll start with a caveat by saying that you really need to be cautious about the oils that you use. And I would never ingest oils that you just go buy from a store somewhere, because it's become so popular that there is a high likelihood that oils are adulterated, or that they may be synthetic, or that they may be diluted with something else, you know. And so you really want to be cautious and make sure that you trust that your oils are pure, that they're coming from a good source. And that can be challenging to do, but just have that in the back of your mind and know that that is something you really want to make sure that you're doing. And especially if you're planning to ingest oils, even if it's just a citrus oil that you want to put in your water, you really want to make sure that it is what it says it is. And so I'll start with that caveat, but there are 3 main ways to use oils aromatically. So just breathing them in. And so like you can see my diffuser back here, it's putting them into the air so that I breathe them in. It's purifying the air. It can change the mood in a room.
I can actually just on that point, are you burning some oils right now? Are there some oils that would help you to maybe to be real clear or really alert when you're doing an interview? Yeah.
There are some actually. So
Yeah,
like the oil of spearmint, for example. Spearmint is the oil of clear speaking.
Oh.
So to help you speak, clear, confident speaking.
I better start doing that. I'm going to start getting some spearmint going. Okay.
Yeah. There are some neat oils for those type of emotional benefits too, really. So just breathing them in is one way. And that's probably the easiest way for someone who's not sure how to get started.
And safest too.
Just put them in a diffuser or put them in your hands and just breathe them in. Or you can get a diffuser bracelet that has some little lava stones on it that you can put drops of oil on. So you kind of carry that scent with you. Sometimes I'll even just put some in my hair like this. And that way throughout the day, I can breathe that scent in. So aromatically is one way. And again, you'd use aromatically. I think they're great for when you want to influence your mood, when you want to purify the air, when you want to change the scent of a room. Like there's no need to buy toxic air fresheners. There's just none. There's natural scents that make the most beautiful scents for your rooms.
Well, same with perfumes and things, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So then the next way would be topical use. So that is rubbing it on your skin. And typically you would want to dilute an oil to do that. Some oils are safe to apply without dilution, but they just don't work as well because they're so aromatic. They will flash off your skin and they'll be gone. So if you dilute them with a heavier oil, like a fractionated coconut oil, which is a coconut oil that the fat has been stripped out of, so it stays liquid all the time, then it holds it on your skin so that it has time to absorb at a nice slow rate instead of just evaporating off. And also, like if you have a specific ailment or something, if you have an upset stomach, well, rubbing it right on your stomach, that makes sense. Or if you have a sore muscle, well, getting an oil that can help with that discomfort and rubbing it right where it hurts, that's a logical, intuitive way to do that. And so there are lots of reasons why, if you're having head discomfort, well, put it where it hurts. That's an intuitive, logical reason to use them topically. And then internally, I mentioned the citrus oil. A lot of people enjoy citrus oil in their water or in their drink. Citrus is a very detoxing oil. And so it just helps things like your kidneys, your liver. It helps the toxins move through like they're supposed to so that they don't, clog up and cause any problems. Also, there's lots of oils that can be beneficial for digestive concerns. And so that would make sense if you've got something going on with your digestive system, ingesting an oil that would be appropriate for that. And you can do that. Some oils actually sometimes they can come in a soft gel because they know that people are going to use them that way. So you can buy a bottle of soft gels that are just the oil that you can ingest like you're used to ingesting a capsule. You can also buy empty capsules that you pull apart, add your drops, close it up, down the hatch, and that helps them get where they're supposed to go. But you can also just put a few drops in some water and just shoot it down, and that can be an effective way as well.
But not all oils are appropriate for ingestion. So you have to know, you shouldn't just start taking it. You have to know which ones.
That's right. Don't just take them all. And the oils I use, I don't know if you can see this or not. Mm-hmm. See, that has a supplement facts box, just like your food does.
Oh, yeah.
So when it has a supplement facts box, that shows that it's been approved by the FDA as generally regarded as safe. It's considered a supplement, which is something that is approved for ingestion. If it doesn't have that box, it just says ingredients, well, that will tell you that that's meant to be used aromatically or topically, but not internally. So
good. Well, I want to remind our viewers that along with this video training, You get a PDF, so be sure and look in that PDF because that's where you can find all the information of how to get in touch with Eve. I know she has lots more information on her website. I know she does some coaching, and I know she has a line of oils that are known to be one of the very best. So if you want to get more information and learn more about it, and you definitely want to check out her website. And her website is, what is your website again?
It's just www.dreverosno, dreverosno.com.
Okay.
And one of my very favorite things is helping people along on their journey with essential oils, because it can be very overwhelming. And so one of the things I love about helping people get started with oils is that it comes with a support person. Instead of just buying them off a shelf somewhere where you're like, I don't know what to do. Well, how nice to have someone who is farther along the road than you are to walk with you, to answer your questions, to help you find the best way for you to get started or to use oils for your needs.
Yeah, absolutely. So be sure to check out your PDF, and then you have all the contact information there from Dr. Eve. So Dr. Eve, that's been so good, so informative that I really appreciate it. So the very last question I have for always ask all of my experts, and it's the hardest one to answer.
Uh-oh.
It's a tough one. Here it is. Okay, so what ideas do you have to inspire and motivate people to actually take action on your recommendations? You know, I like to always say this, you know, knowledge without action is useless, right? So we're giving you some really great knowledge, some great information. So you have to take action on it. So what ideas to get people to actually step up and say, okay, I'm going to start try some oils?
Well, here's one thing I think I would do. Sometimes people get so overwhelmed by it all and they just don't know where to start. So I would encourage people to pick one aspect of their life that they want to try essential oils for. Maybe it's for your mental health. Maybe it's for pain and discomfort. Maybe it's for sleep. Maybe it's for digestive distress. Maybe it's for seasonal allergies. So instead of thinking, oh, I'm going to overhaul my whole life, or maybe they just say, I just want to trade out my cleaning products, and they're not ready to use them for physical or mental health or whatever. So pick one area and start there, and then work with someone like me. We can help you say, okay, here is what you should do. Here's what you do in the morning. Here's what you do midday. Here's what you do at night. Try this for 30 days. So commit to one area that you're saying, I want to start there. Because otherwise people get big ideas and they get a lot of stuff and then they get overwhelmed. They don't know how to use them and they just sit on their shelf, which I would never want anyone to buy oils from me and have them sit on their shelf. I'd rather you not buy them at all. And so that's what I would say. Don't, eat an elephant one bite at a time, right? Pick one area, get some support, someone who will help you, and set up a plan so that you can find some success in that one area. And then you can add on to that. And before you know it, you'll have your whole world overhauled and it won't be overwhelming at all. And you'll be seeing so many benefits.
So good. That's exactly what this whole project's all about. Just giving you some right information to get you started, to start taking action. And as you progress, I promise you, when you follow the recommendations of all our experts, you're going to get some really great results. You're going to really greatly improve your overall health and well-being. And then again, we want you to stay connected to all of our experts because they got lots more to offer you and help you out. So well done, Eve. Thank you so very much. That was really great.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Good luck to everybody.
Good luck to everybody, right? So once again, the whole concept of this whole project is that you have to step up and take responsibility for your health and your self-care, and you can do it. And once again, if you follow the recommendations of all our experts, you're going to get some really great results. Well, thanks for being here.